Greetings and welcome to my video on making plastic small pipe chanter reeds. The previous video I showed you how to make this chanter, and all the previous videos have been basically about silent things. They haven't been what makes the difference between this and what you've just heard is this little thing, the reeds. So I'm going to show you how I make these plastic chanter reeds, and I'm going to talk to start with about my journey of getting here. Now if you want to get to the nitty gritty, then just scroll on and don't listen to my journey, but it's been quite a journey and I'm still on that journey, so free to skip ahead if you feel like it. I'm a self-taught pipe maker, and I've been making small pipes since 1983. Ooh. And now I've made over 914 pipes, and I was checking my records. I've made 750 small pipe chanters plus 232 Cornish chanters, because they're small pipes really as well, and 483 conical chanters. And it's been quite a journey for me, and it's not over. I'm still learning. When I started making small pipes, I used bassoon reeds because they were cane reeds and they were available over the counter, but they weren't really very suitable. They had quite a good sound. And since 1987, in 1987 I designed a plastic reed which was sort of copy of a bassoon, and it worked really well. I couldn't believe how quickly I developed it, and I've been carrying on using plastic reeds for everything apart from my high D English great pipe chanter, which uses modified Highland cane reeds. Back in the days when I was learning, and I was learning so many different skills, leather, wood, all the rest of it, it was quite handy not to have to think about actually fabricating the reeds to start with when I was using bassoon reeds. And people often referred to reed making as a black art, and that wasn't really helpful. There wasn't much written stuff about it, and John Swain, my friend, knew that the French and Belgian makers were using plastic reeds, and he tipped me off how to do it. But no other small pipe makers were doing that. They were all using cane reeds. So over the years I've developed a whole range for different chanters of mine. That's the Montgomery small pipe, a little one. This is the one in my D and C Leicestershire small pipes. This is for the A one, slightly larger than the D. I think it's the same staple, I'll tell you later. Then the G one, bit bigger, and then my Cornish, my big Cornish and my Dura pipes work with that, and that's what we're going to be using today. I was really lucky in that there was the misfortune of a local yogurt firm, Howgate Yogurt. They were just going out of business, so I bought 1,600 yogurt tubs from them, and I probably used about 300 so far. I worked out once that I could make 10 reeds a week until I was 120 years old, I think, so I've got a big stock of those. So I started hand scraping each reed, more like a cane reed was. You'd sort of contour it round so there was more strength in the middle, and I read various books, few books that there were, and there were other ways of putting more strength on the outside. And then the Highland pipe uses a completely different system with a great scoop out there. So I was finding my way how to scrape it, but what disappointed me was the amount of unsatisfactory reeds I could make in a batch, and I was searching all the time for a way to make it more consistent and to make it more of a process than less of an art. And what made all the difference was visiting my friend Bernard Blanc in Vichy in July 2001, who had just cottoned on to the fact that when you're using plastic reeds, you don't have to scrape them the same way as cane reeds. It just needs a consistent gradient there all the way across. So, and he was just finding a new way of making a sounder for this, quite a basic sounder. I rushed home and made a really unsuccessful way that didn't really work at all. And then I spoke to my dear friend Tony Botham, who's made a lot of the gizmos and things, my late friend, and I told him exactly what was needed, and I told him how I thought it should be made, and he made exactly what I needed by ignoring practically everything I told him. He made a brilliant device which I think is a bit too sophisticated for what I need. So I'm going to be showing you the process today, and I'm going to be using this very sophisticated piece of equipment, but I want to explain how it operates to you. I'm sure you'll be able to make something less sophisticated and equally as good. So I'm showing you the process, and you, as I say, you may not be able to replicate everything, but you may discover other things in the process of developing your own system. So, right, let's look at the materials and tools you're going to need. Those, the ones that you can buy to start with. Right, there are some things that you can just buy in the shop that you don't have to make. Brass tubing for staples is made by K&S, and it's available in all sorts of different model shops, and you can get it on eBay as well. For the Cornish pipe we're using 9/32 inch. Then you need plastic, and there's Mylar, which I'll explain about, or there is my yogurt pots, which the advantage of these were they were made before plastics became biodegradable. That means, and I assume that this is not biodegradable. And then you need copper wire, which is 26 gauge copper wire, and I'm sure you can buy smaller quantities than that. A front cutter and a pair of pliers is very necessary. Some kind of cord. It doesn't really matter what. I discovered whipping cord, I think, in marine supplies. As long as it's synthetic material, it's not going to rot away, and the whipping cord comes in different colours, different pretty colours. And then also PTFE tape, which I think our friends in America call plumber's tape. So that's what you'll need to buy.